Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome to the stream, guys. We are talking about ESO today. Give me just a second. Let's get. Actually, might go over to this side. Oh, there we go. Let's do that. Yeah, there we go. We're going to be talking about the studio director's note. We'll give everybody. I imagine some people are going to tune in here. We had some technical difficulties earlier today, and my apologies for that. I don't know what was wrong. We were losing 25% of our frames, which basically means it's way past unwatchable. So sorry about that. I had to in that stream early. That was the indie game we were playing with Wicked and Weird that we do every day on Monday. I think it was going to be the last one, but had to end the stream early. Didn't really get to play very much. I tested out a bunch of things, did the whole restart, turn it off, turn it back on thing, tested for some bunch of other stuff, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong, but it stopped. So I did a little hell diving. Didn't really want to get back to the indie game just because that moment had passed and Wicked had already hopped over to hell diving. So I jumped over there and did some hell diving and streamed that so that I could test and make sure that the stream was working. So I think we're good now. We'll give everybody just a minute to get in here. Let me make sure the chat bot is up. So today we're talking about, guys, the reason you tuned in is we're going to talk about the ESO Studio Director's Note from this year, and we'll look at last year's as well, just briefly. But I've been getting questions about people that am I quitting ESO and stuff like that. I get this periodically, guys. Most recently, I've been doing some of the hardest content I've ever done in ESO, and the reason for that is um, I'm really particular about who I run with, and a lot of the end game historically, I think this is a lot less true now than it used to be, but could be pretty toxic. And anyways, found some groups that were not that way. Some really great groups. I don't know if they're going to be continuing in the new years. People quit and move on and what have you, and it's a relatively small pool of players. But I've been playing a lot. I just stopped streaming some of those because a lot of what we're doing is doing the same thing over and over again. I don't think it's that. I know it wasn't that good for the streams because you guys stopped watching, understandably so. So my goal, I'm doing runs in the background, but my goal is to on stream is to maybe have some more pug runs and some more interesting stuff for you guys. But hello, guys, and I'm kind of rambling on here a little bit, guys. If you're watching this after the fact, maybe skip ahead just a little bit because I'm trying to give everybody a chance to drop in on the stream now that they know we're doing ESO. Hello, hello, guys. I see people popping in. Good to see you. Good to see you. So yeah, but far from quitting ESO, I'm doing the same thing. I mean, it's been a long time since I've done that much, and like I check out the new content when it comes out, and then after that I kind of just log in for trials because that's the main thing I like to do in ESO, and I'm hoping this year they'll I think they said this year, I don't know, or maybe they just said a while back they were going to fix the overland, and I'm kind of I'm looking forward to that. So but right now doing overland kind of content for someone who's played ESO for as long as I have is it's just kind of trivial. It's just not really worth it's just not fun if I'm being honest. So I'm looking forward to that changing, and if so, you'll see me doing some streams about running around overland and stuff like that. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm hopeful. All right, so today we're talking about ESO's leadership. They changed it. They changed the branding on this a little bit, and I don't mind it. ESO's leadership 2025 end of year letters to the community. So normally every year there's an end of year letter from usually Matt Farrar, who's the studio director. And just to give you an idea here, there's actually going to be three. It's going to be so we're going to get the game director, the current one, Nick. We're just going to go with Nick. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher that last name. Giacomini? It's not that hard to say, probably, but I might be saying it totally wrong. Apologies if so. Then we also have the executive producer, Susan Kath, and then also from studio head Joe Burba. So you can see here's the entire letter. You can see it on one page from Nick. And then if we look back here, this is from Matt from last year, and it's on the forums. It's pages. It's pages and pages long. I will say that generally I've looked at these for the past 3 years, I think at least, maybe longer. I read them for a lot longer than that, but as far as like actually being on stream, don't quote me on that. Generally speaking, these are what was coming from Matt Farrar was just complete like corporate BS. And I will say these letters are designed for a broad audience. So I think us as players is often one of the last people they're written for. I think they're written for people at the company is one of the things. I think they're also written for shareholders, for Matt's boss, whoever's uh, above him and stuff like that. And generally speaking, they're just like it would be just like 3 feet of BS, like of just complete nonsense and corpo speak, and they wouldn't say anything, and just a lot also like probably some of the most if in the military, I think a phrase we would use is a self-licking popsicle, um, or ice cream cone or snow cone, whatever you want to say, but really just like nonsense, just like breaking their arms to pat themselves on the back. And I think we got something quite a bit different. It's not incredibly telling as far as the actual content, but it is pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we have 3 letters from ESO's leadership team. We discussed, learning from a busy year and set the tone and expectations for 2026. That's the idea, right? They've actually told us what the idea for the letter is here. So let's take a look and see what Nick had to say. So as the year in Tamriel comes to a close, I want to start with a moment of honest reflection, which is again incredibly refreshing and incredibly new and different from what we've seen from them in the past. Okay. This has been a challenging year. While we had high ambitions, we stumbled. Writhing Wall was not the experience that we wanted to deliver or that players deserved. Awesome. I think that's very true. Writhing Wall was pretty disappointing for a lot of us, I would agree. Subclassing introduced and highlighted issues with class identity. And I want to point out that like this stuff is not really Nick's fault. Like I don't know when he took over, but exactly, but certainly subclassing was the previous administration, if you will. And they're along for the ride and what have you. So previously we referred to this year as a transition year. There's been a lot of transition years in ESO, but again, this is somebody new in charge, so we're gonna give him a break. Yet I feel that there were not enough transitions in meaningful ways. Interesting. All right. Players have been asking us to be more transparent and communicate better. Yeah, we've been asking that for a long time, and they've said they would do it, and they haven't done it. And a big part of that was some of the people in charge of communication over there, or at least were prominent in communication, and I'm not going to name names, were pretty horrible at their job and did a really bad job. Some of those people have been moved around. I know they're still technically at the company. They don't. A lot of these people are like grandfathered in. Like it's really hard, and it's been said by people who have left the company that it's really hard to get fired from Bethesda generally and ZeniMax. So anyways. So I think though that some of them have been moved to other position, relegated to it's that employee that you can't fire because they've been there forever, and whoever doesn't want them fired because they've been here for 20 years, and they've been doing terrible at their job for 20 years. Imagine that. But I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that. I don't you never want to I want people and employees to be treated well, but I also, if people aren't doing their job for a long time, you let them know that their performance is not satisfactory, and if it continues, they got to find another job, and hopefully they go find another job, and you don't have to fire them. That's the ideal situation. But anyways, I don't think that's going to change, but I do appreciate that. This is not corpo BS. Is at least it doesn't feel like it. I'm hopeful, guys. I'm on the copium today. All right, I got copium right here. We're thinking positive. We're gonna look at this glass half full. All right. So players have been asking us to be more transparent and communicate better to provide a more rewarding. To communicate better to provide a more rewarding experience, to be more exciting, to address long-standing issues and pain points, and to improve combat, class identity, and PvP, and generally make more investment in the core gaming experience instead of just chasing the next big thing. We hear you. We agree. There's a lot in there. I'm going to have to read back through that just for myself. So players have been asking us to be more transparent and have better communication. Yes. And I will say there has been a noticeable change in their communication and in the tone of communication. and for the better. Absolutely. I really like it. I've said this before. One of the big problems that ESO has had is that they're so when you have open and transparent communication, but you're a bad company, it just invites all kinds of issues for you. And when I'm using bad company as an intentionally broad term, a company that doesn't listen to their people, a company that doesn't have their own customers, even well being, um, own interests, like their customers' interests in mind, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm realizing is that there's like advertisements for the freaking Crown Store on this page. I really don't like. Well, I don't really want to be advertising the Crown Store right now. I kind of want to like block this off. Can we increase this? Oh, that certainly didn't work. Yeah, I mean we could make it larger and I can cover it up for the most part. There we go. Oh, a little too much. We dug too deep. I guess that's the best we can do. I think that's not too bad. Anyways, but when you're not a good company, and being transparent just causes you a ton of problems. Sorry, I'm trying to find our spot here. Yeah, here we are. So anyways, good news, good news, good news. Okay, so we want them to communicate better. They're saying they hear that. They have been communicating better. I will absolutely give them that. Uh, they want us, they're saying that we want them to provide a more rewarding experience. I think they're literally referring to rewards, in-game rewards and stuff like that. I guess. I think a big part of this problem is the Crown Store. I think so much focus has been on the Crown Store and trying to get people, just monetize. And ESO makes a lot of money. I think it throws off a lot of money, and because of that, and what inevitably happens, right? You got to make content, and you can either put it in the game or you can sell it. And no matter how that's split up, even if those are two different groups or whatever, over time you're gonna, you know, the incentives are what will determine the way a business works. And if the incentives for the people working at the company are to, make more money because that's what their bosses want, that's what shareholders want, they're going to do that. And they're not going to focus on having good in-game rewards. So I think that's good. Good to hear. To be more exciting, a little bit vague and ambiguous. I'm not really sure what they mean by that. I imagine they have some sort of idea, but I don't really know what they mean. Kind of a general term. Can't really do anything with that. To address long-standing issues and pain points. I mean, yes, and I will say that, and I think most people would agree, right now in ESO, the performance of the game is probably some of the worst it's been, at least in a long time. Certainly in the last, I don't know, 3 to 5-ish years for sure. It's pretty bad. I actually had a clip I was looking through when I did that Witness Me short. If you guys have seen that, like a week or so ago, maybe two. Whenever I did that, I also saw a place, and I realized when it happened, and I said something when it happened on the live stream, but I died before the visual and the AoE for a mechanic hit me, and that has happened for many things over the years, but it is by far the latency issues. And what's going on with that is by far. I think they tried tweaking some things to make the game maybe feel, more responsive for PvP. That's my guess based on, what was going on and things they've said, and it's an educated guess is what I'm trying to say. Let me actually adjust my lighting. The sun has gone down. I'm by a window here. Let me see if we can't adjust this a bit. The green screen's not peeking through, the blue screen. And so, that's probably some of the worst it's been. And I don't know if they think it's one of those things. I don't know if they get a lot of feedback from players on, and I don't know if they listen when they do, but it's pretty bad. And it's enough that I know people who have quit. Now, I don't know if that's the small, really, really tiny group that's in-game players that notice that. I think what happens a lot of times with stuff like that is that players notice, but they don't really know what's going on. The game doesn't feel good. And so they don't go into the forums and say, "Hey, it's clear that you've changed something and that there's more issues with desync from what the servers are doing and what I'm seeing on my screen." Most people don't do that. Definitely the sweaty in-game players will, but I think most players are just like, the game doesn't feel good, and they're frustrated that they died, and they don't understand why they died because they were clearly outside of the AoE. And so I don't think they necessarily get feedback on that, but I do think all players notice. And so that's one of those things where, like, a really good company, a really good, games company will understand and will know their game well enough, their product well enough. And I don't have the confidence that that is the case with ESO. So we'll have to see. But they anyways, they go on to say they want to improve combat, or this is the feedback they've got. Class identity. Yeah, I mean this. Rich and crew. I guess I shouldn't say Rich. I don't know. I guess Matt Ferror and crew. I don't know. Before they left, a lot of these guys, they really had like a 10 to 11 year, like, uh, party for themselves, celebrating what they've done and really just patting themselves on the back, and took a whole year to just, and they kind of honestly like screwed over the people taking over now by adding all this stuff that really pissed off players, like completely destroying class identity by making subclassing, and just kind of like dropped a bomb, and then, like, threw a grenade into the room, shut the door, and walked away. Daedric says, even if in-game people don't hard quit, a lot more people quiet quit and only log into raid with groups they care about and don't engage with much else of the game. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Definitely see that. And the multi-classing now is like, choosing your own skill lines and everything. I personally, I'm of multiple minds, right? Like, so for me personally, how I feel about how the game is played, I think it's great. I love it. I think it's pretty cool. I think that I think pretty much ubiquitously, everybody agrees that it was like ill thought out, ill conceived, maybe, at least poor planning all the way around. Like, they're starting now, almost a year after it came out, 9 months, whatever. They're starting to do the things they should have done about a year before it came out. So they're like 2 years behind. Kind of wild. But again, I think that a lot of these guys that have been there for a while wanted to do something, and they're like, we're going to do this and finally put in the things that we said we would have in on launch. We're going to finally put them in about 11 years later. And even then, 11 years on, they still weren't well thought out, and they still weren't like well designed and well implemented. So pretty bad, pretty tough, honestly. And it's kind of wild. And so understandably, a lot of people are pissed about all this. What's up, Steven? Steven says, we need an answer to the hard questions nobody asked. Why should we continue to play in the meantime? It's a multi-year project they started. At best, if they don't screw it up. Yeah, 100%. That's a great question. That's a really great question. Like, why would we bother to play in the meantime? Yeah, I mean, I think most people, like, it's like, okay, cool. This is the problem with the transparency, and I think it's the reason why we got so poor of communication, is because, a lot of the people that were in charge, they were just doing, they would do stupid things like they've done here, like they've done over the past year. And it's like, even if they have a good idea, they implement it so poorly, and they make such bad decisions that, yeah, it just looks really bad when you're transparent. And you go, oh, like the Endless Archive. They went on a media tour for the Endless Archive, and I went and watched all of their interviews with all these guys, and it was a lot of hours, guys. And I didn't do it on stream. It's my job to know what's going on with games as best I can. ESO is the main game I cover, and so I went and watched them all, and I learned a lot. Most of it not great. To hear Rich and Finn talk about, they didn't say it like this, but this is clearly what they said, is, like, they chose to do a thing that was easy because it was easy, and they could do it in a time period that fit their schedule and whatever. And it wasn't the best thing for the game. It wasn't the most fun thing for the game. And sure enough, like, that, now there's really, there's like no fixing it, right? Like, and remember when it came out, everybody wanted some sort of save spot, because for those of us who play the game a lot, the core players, right? Those of us who play ESO a lot, the first levels are kind of boring and you're just kind of waiting for it to get difficult. And if you want to try to push through, it's like an extra 45 minutes before you get to the part that it kind of becomes fun. and it's like old school time waste simulator, right? Like a lot of us, it doesn't show that you value your players' time. But anyways, um, all that to say, like, yeah, the class identity, they are trying to address this. I mean, I certainly don't have a question or an answer for that question, Steven. Like, I think it's a really good question, man. What are we supposed to do in the meantime? I do though have some positive things to say. Like, I, I know, I think the class changes. What I've seen does look like it's going to be fun. Does it do everything I want? No. I would say probably one of the things that I think. Well, let's see. I don't know. You guys tell me, but I think we can all agree on is, and if we don't, let me know. Drop some in the comments if you're watching this after the fact or whatever. Let me know right now on the stream. Is that one of the things that I think most people would really like is a reason to bring certain classes, and to bring, I guess, certain skill lines. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but there's the long has it been in ESO that like, hey, you need a DK, you need one. They have like they used to have like three unique buffs. I don't remember now. I'm trying to think if they have several still that you can't really get anywhere else. Um, it's a little bit different with scribing and multiclass and everything now, but still they have multiple unique buffs that you can't get from any other class. Well, many classes don't have anything that does that, and one of the cool ways, and this isn't just about in-game sweaty players who are trying to be super optimized and everything. What you want is for people to be happy to see you. It's an MMO, and sure, a lot of us play solo. I do plenty of and have done plenty of solo content in ESO, but it's still an MMO. And if you see someone roll up and they're, in other games and ideally in ESO, and you're like, okay, cool, they're bringing something unique. They are bringing a unique buff to the group. If we're working on a world boss, oh, they're going to, the Warden Healer coming in, it used to be, I guess, now it'd be a tank, providing, major resolve for everybody in the group. That's awesome, right? That can help the group. And I think that one of the things that we all want, and I don't think it's really on their radar or has been addressed at all, is a reason to want to bring every class and to bring all this different skill lines. And if you had a favorite class and this constantly happens in ESO, it's like it happened with my Brittleton builds and wardens in general. The idea of a Brittleton is like, cool, if the source of brittle was best provided by a warden bringing that, and it doesn't have to be that. I'm just using that as an example. It feels good, and it's like, cool. My chosen class, right, that I like in the game is desired by other people. They want me. They're happy to see me. Okay, it's the cheers effect, right? You want people to be happy when you pull up. And I think that's true even in pugs and overworld events and stuff like that. And I don't like that's not really in the game right now. I would love to see something like that. And then, they're saying, yeah, we want them to improve at PvP. This is long been a thing. We haven't really got a lot of info on this. They put someone in charge of PvP who barely knew how to play. That was concerning. So it's like, what is going on over there? And I think they've been a little bit silent. They haven't really said as much on this. Like I know they've maybe I've missed some stuff, but I don't think they've really said as much. And I do think for a lot of people, it's in a better spot, but I don't think it's bringing people back. That's for sure. And then, anyways, and generally make more investment to the core game experience instead of just chasing the next big thing. We hear you. We agree. Yeah. Long has, and I'm sure it's based, on experience. Well, let me see here. Steven says, 100% agree. I've been playing since beta. It was a very cool feeling maining a mag blade and group comps, knowing that what you can bring and being excited that it's being done at a high level. Yeah, exactly. Example being a solo portal runner for VCR +3. Yeah, there you go. So Cloud Rest, you're doing portals, and it used to be that like certain classes or what have you would be very good down there. If you brought Nightblades had the great execute. Certain fights, the execute gets really hairy, and you can hear the Nightblades doing their impale or whatever, and that the execute is going to go quickly, and hopefully things will go easier because of that. As a for instance, right? But something so that, it's like, okay, cool. I think everybody wants group content. And again, I think this translates to Overland, running around in dungeons or with your friends or just pulling up to an overworld event. Everybody wants to have something unique that is beneficial that they can bring. And I think that creates a social experience that you can't really get it anywhere else, Like you need to, if you're bringing something unique, there is an experience, there is something that happens that won't happen otherwise. Not the end of the world, but I think it's good game design. And I think it's one of the things that pretty much everybody agrees on, but I don't think is, again, on Zoss's mind at all. But what I think Rich and Finn would say, if I had to guess, and again, Finn's still there, right? Like, is that, and so is Rich, when we're talking about the core, like, they have said things to the, and I'm paraphrasing or whatever, but they said things to the extent of like, well, like, yeah, we could go back. I mean, Finn has said specifically about certain trials, for example, but dungeons and everything else, right? He said, he's gotten reports from his team that like, yeah, we can go in and fix this stuff, but we basically have to just do it all over again. And the idea is that like, oh, players say they want us to fix the old content, but it's like, well, we have limited resources, so we could either fix the old content or we could make new content. And we're just gonna, and people are more excited about new content, so we're just gonna keep making new content. I think the problem is that it's kind of a Jenga tower, right? And at some point it's standing on one block and they're trying to keep building up and up, and at some point it's gonna fall. uh Daedric says, give us dungeon/trial editor, boom, infinite content. 1,000%. I think the issue why they haven't and wouldn't do that historically, Daedric, which I think I'm sure Daedric probably knows this, but the reason this taskbar is killing me here is because it sounds like the dungeon or the trials and everything, that the old dungeons and trials were all bespoke, like the code was bespoke. And what I mean by that is, C++, which is what, ESO's done, and the idea of object-oriented coding. So what you do is you say, okay, well, here is a object. Okay, it's just a thing. Okay, and just like a physical object, it has something. Okay, so here's an object. Okay, it's got some sort of height. It's got some sort of width. It has, in this case, two different parts. There's a lid. It does something. It pops off. The lid does something. Okay, so if I want to, these are both objects, but they're different kinds of objects. But they're of the same type, right? These are both cups. So what you can do is you can say, okay, well, this is a cup object. Okay, I'll teach you a little bit about coding here, guys. So this one, for the dimensions, I set them as one thing, right? And again, these are all circular. These happen to be, more or less circular. So that's one thing, and they both actually have lids, but they have a little bit different kinds of lids. So there's various things that the object is contained in the object. In this case, the size. In this case, the kind of opening. It has an opening, a lid, so on and so forth, right? So what you would do in a dungeon, if you're designing a dungeon or a trial or anything in a game, right? One of the major things is an AoE. Okay, we've got an AoE. Well, how big is it? How does it function, right? When does it go off? Is this something that there's a telegraph and then as it builds up and then it goes off? Okay, that's one kind. But it could also be something where as soon as we initiate that AoE, it's doing damage, and it's damage over time in that area. That's another kind, right? And you have but you have one object that is the AoE, and then you have all these different factors in it that you can adjust. And it sounds like, from what they've said, and I haven't looked at the source code, so I don't know, 100%, but I'm pretty sure, as sure as I can be without doing that, is that they did not do that early on. Oops. Oh no. Great. I clicked on something. They did not do that early on. Whenever they were writing, so they didn't define an AoE as a coding object. And so everything they wrote, it's literally like writing that, okay, it's going to do this. Okay, it's going to do that. And that takes so much longer. And also, if you want to go back and change anything, you need to go back through and do everything very bespoke. That is a horrible, horrible coding practice. And I think they just were, that's just what they did, whether because they thought it would be quicker at the time, or ignorance, or any number of other things. I used to think, I mentioned this before, but I used to think kind of growing up, because my dad was a computer programmer, or, he's retired now, but um, I used to think that, and honestly, this used to be the case to a large degree. A lot of the people that made games were programmers. And so I kind of grew up thinking that everybody who made games was a computer programmer and understood this stuff. And I don't think that's the case. So, like, the thing that Daedric is suggesting, like, they have made new tools and they have improved things. They've said, right? And I think we've seen evidence of that. I don't know exactly, but it really would be cool if they just spent the time to make a dungeon and trial editor. And instead of just like pumping out the same, let's be honest, guys, a lot of these dungeons, like, some of them are good and some of them are very uninspired. And yeah, I think Daedric's absolutely right. Like, give us an editor and let us build the content. That'd be super cool. Infinite content, and we would kill it. Can they build a dungeon editor? Probably not. I don't think they can do it. It would be cool, but I don't think they could do it. And I don't know. But I think it's a great idea, Daedric. Just for the record, I think it's a really cool idea. That would be something that's new, that's exciting, that we haven't really seen before in most other games. Yes, there are problems with that. There are questions. What do you do for loot? How does that work? Do you let players, like, could they just put 50 bosses in one room with one hit point? Like, obviously you couldn't let them do that. They drop the best gear in the game. Obviously you can't do that, but it's yeah. There's a lot. I believe in this 11-year MMO 100%. Daedric says, "Oh my gosh." So like, there are problems, but they're addressable, right? Like, if you want to be like, yeah, this doesn't work, and I think it needs something new. I really do. So, anyways, they said they want to invest more in the core game experience. I think that what a lot of the old guard at ESO would say is that players say that, but they're a company, and they got to make money, and players actually buy the new content. I think that a lot of the old content in ESO, for example, with the trials or dungeons, whatever, a lot of them, guys, I remember playing some of the old world dungeons, which now are a joke, even on veteran. And I remember, what dungeon is that? What's the one with the? I'm trying to remember which old world dungeon this is. The one with the gargoyle that jumps down and he bashes the ground. Second boss. Is that? Yeah. Anyways, I don't remember what dungeon it is. That used to be a DPS check. And he would slam the ground and eventually spindle clutch. Thank you. Spindle clutch 2. Spindle clutch 2. Yeah, Timbo said full in favor. Yeah, that does happen. No, you're right, Timbo. The gargoyle does jump and he does slam the ground. You're right. Daedric knows what I'm talking about, though, or happens, Spindle Clutch 2, that used to be a DPS check. And I remember failing that as a DPS, okay? In pug groups trying to do I think trying to do veteran. I don't know. There's probably not a hard mode for that. So I guess just doing veteran. I remember failing the DPS check for that, or barely making it. And that was cool. There's nothing wrong with that old content. Hellraw Citadel. Thanks, Softel. Yeah. Hellraw Citadel is, another one. Like, I love that. Trial. A lot of people love Sanctum Ophidia. Not my favorite personally, but a lot of people loved it when it came out. If they remastered, I mean, if they remastered Maw of Lorcash and it was actually difficult and it wasn't trivial, and I know it's difficult for newer players and everything, but like, this is also the problem with all of Overland. Overland, like, every mob in the game has a mechanic. Maw of Lorcash updated to modern standards would be sick. A lot of eyes in there. Yeah, exactly. So, but I think that they think that, no, we just got to keep doing the new thing, and we could go fix the old stuff, but we should just. The other thing is that, like, I don't think they're doing either, if I'm being honest. Like, yes, they're not fixing the old stuff, or they're not redoing it or remastering it or whatever, but a lot of the, I mean, they're just trickling out content. They put out 50, dungeons and a year. It feels like. Oh no, lost our, we lost the light. It'll be okay. We're just peeking through a little bit. Not a big deal. Let me just adjust this though, so the green screen's not peeking out so much, just because it'll bug me. Actually, I think I'm already half transparent, so maybe that's as good as we can do. That's all right though. Anyways, I don't think they're doing either, right? Like they're not putting out that much. They've never increased the rate. They have so much content in the game too, with things like Tales of Tribute. Like I think Tales of Tribute, again, this is something that I personally love. I love Tales of Tribute. Oh, actually, let me catch up on these comments. Softness says, I remember failing the Engine Guardian on Vet with my friends for so long. Dude, tell me about it. I remember that too. Yeah. Whole friggin' room is shaking. And it's like we're just dying over and over again. 1,000%. Yeah, I remember that. Maul was a crazy flex back in the day. Exactly. One of my friends, Evie, who used to run a guild, and it still kind of exists in a Discord, but it used to be very large and active and helping new players, just learn the game and everything. She would say Maul of Lorcaj was a guild killer back in the day. Like people would because it was so hard. And it does. You don't maybe need to go that extreme. I don't know. You have the easier version now, right? But yeah, give us that content back. Daedric says recent trials have been such a coin flip. Yeah, VSE, veteran Sanity's Edge, and veteran Aussie and Cage felt so uninspired, but veteran Lucent Citadel was fantastic with the not hard mode. Yeah, would agree. Soft again says doing Sanctum of Video when it came out was such a formative Elder Scrolls moment for me. Yeah, exactly. That's cool. Yeah, and they. Yeah. I think they would say that like people want the new stuff, right? But they've come out with some of the new stuff. Tales of Tribute. Rich, the creative director, the guy in charge of all the stuff that we care about that goes into the game, said that they really did that. He did it because for his staff. His staff was kind of burned out. He didn't say all this, I'm paraphrasing, but said his staff was burned out and wanted something new. And that was kind of a reward for them. Like, hey, do the thing that sounds fun to you kind of thing. Which to some extent is like, I get that as an employer. That's a good idea and a good way to manage. But if the thing it's a game within a game. They made a new game that had nothing to really to do with Elder Scrolls, and then they put it into Elder Scrolls. And they flavored it so that it belongs in the game. Now, I love Tales of Tribute, and I think it's really cool. Most of us, and I agree with this, don't think it like, why are we making a game within a game? And is this something the player base wants? All of those desires of the player base, all the things that the players would say that we want. Nobody in ESO was asking for a card game within the MMO that we already had. Nobody. And, but they did it because that's what they want to do and wanted a reward. Now, if you have a bunch of employees who don't really want to make the game that they're supposed to be making, I mean, maybe time to go look for a new job, guys, right? Like that's what you should do. And also, you don't want a bunch of people working at your company who don't want to be doing the job that they're not going to do a good job because of that. And so the whole thing was just kind of wild to me. And I just think that if that came out, how many people are playing Tales of Tribute now? Very, very few, right? And I don't know the numbers. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's more. No, I know I'm not completely wrong, but maybe it's more than I'm thinking. If you spend a bunch of time and you make a bunch of content, and then most people that are playing your game don't engage with that content, that is essentially like lost revenue, right? Like you want people to play all aspects of your game, and if they're not, you're kind of failing in the content that you're making that people are not playing. And I just think this is one of those things that shows how detached from what the players want. And honestly, it's not even detached in that situation. They knew. They did that for their employees. That's not what players want, though, And so it's just kind of wild for that to be the case. Daedric says, we need a game inside of Tales that ESO will be good again. Yeah, we need like an inception of a game inside of a game inside of a game. Yeah, that sounds perfect. Honestly, though, that patch with Tales of Tribute was kind of crazy. They dropped Dreadcell Reef, which was a banger. That's true. Dreadcell Reef has been peak ESO at this point. Too bad they fumbled the ball with U35 2 months later. Yeah, kind of pissed everybody off, at least in game. I think that some of that is. I think some of that though is like I don't even know. I don't know how. I don't know. I bet Dreadcell Reef is still generally more popular with the player base, but I don't know how. You're kind of talking about in-game players, Daedric, which is valid. Like, let's talk about both these groups, but I don't know how true that was, how much that did for the average player, right? And just like you guys are concerned about it, I certainly as a content creator am concerned about the average player's experience because I know that if the average player isn't happy with a game, then the game doesn't exist. And like I've said this before, but it can be surprising. It is surprising that we still continue to get in-game content because they've failed so hard and continue to fail to get anybody to or get most of the community to even engage with trials at all. And I think that again, I it's been over a year at this point, I think, but I went back whenever they revamped the new player experience and I tested it out. And it was horrible and it was unfinished and it was buggy and shit didn't work. Like I couldn't get my controller to work. But I made content about that. Like I made like a short about explaining it. But that was far from the only bug. I also was supposed to have a bunch of the starting locations, the starting zones unlocked, and they just weren't unlocked. I had the DLC, had everything, and I just couldn't play it. I couldn't engage with it, and it's like the other thing is like the combat when you start out. They did the tutorial. The tutorial was friggin' painful, so painful, and just not how you want to teach people how to play a game. And they've continually failed at that. I don't even think they try anymore. But that's why you have so many people that get to max level and they don't even understand that you can light attack or heavy attack to get back resources. Sure, technically that's covered in the boring as hell tutorial that most people probably skipped, but the best tutorials are essentially just playing the game. And again, they fail to do that, fail to engage with that, fail to live up to that expectation over and over again. And it's just kind of, it's sad to see. I think for most of us with ESO, like the thing that is so frustrating is that the game has so much potential and kind of always has, and it's just over and over again not living up to that potential, not living up to those expectations over and over again. But yeah, so I think this is great to hear. This is again a different direction from what they've gone in the past, and fingers crossed they head in a better direction now. Let's see what else we've got that they have to say here. So we've talked about we've talked about change in the past, but there's been a disconnect with the words we've communicated and what we've released subsequently after those communications. That's a tactful way of putting it. We're going to change that moving forward. We hope that you've seen the start of a better communication from us. Again, we have. So that's good. Such as the recent class identity refresh deep dive. Again, some issues with that. This is a temporary goal. They said we're going to focus more on the core game, transparency, and listening to and incorporating your feedback. Excuse me. It's the foundation of our work and the key to ESO's future. Yeah. So the problem with this about we're going to focus on the core gameplay, transparency, that's all great. Listening to and incorporating your feedback. The problem is most of us have long since giving up giving them any sort of feedback. And a lot of the people still giving them feedback are new. Some of them are like, honestly, they've got some issues, some mental health issues, and I don't know what else. So I don't know how good of feedback they're going to get. It's more like go back and get the like old feedback we've given them and listen to that. The other thing is that one of the long-standing things, if you wanted them, ZOS in general, okay, like the corporation in general, the company culture has long been that they literally pride themselves on if they don't like the way they're given feedback, that they pride themselves on not listening and not doing that. Right? We can see this very clearly with Gina Bruno, with with stuff like this. Again, and others like priding themselves on not, there's been people that used to work there that have left, and there's a lot of interviews and stuff like that that I've seen, and some of them they still think this is a good thing. This is wild to me. Again, as someone who, I mean, I get feedback on my videos. I used to work in the customer service industry. It's just wild to me. I am happy to get any feedback. Some feedback you can't really do anything with when someone's just like yelling and just like you suck and you're the worst person ever. But even then you're like, okay, you didn't like what I did. Okay? And again, there's a small, a tiny percentage that you write that off and you're like, yeah, this person's crazy, having a bad day, something. I don't know what's going on. Cool. Doesn't bother me. That's so small though. Most feedback you can do something with, and it's actually really like helpful. So, cool. Maybe they'll do this. Like it's definitely a change in tone. That's for sure. Derek says, yeah, player onboarding is horrible. Playing the game, isn't crazy hard, but the game does nothing to teach you the basics of the combat system. Yeah, 100%. Veteran Maelstrom Arena was a good litmus test, but now it's trivial. Yeah, 100%. Yep. It used to be, and they're, what a lot of games do is they'll put obstacles in a player's way, and it's like, you have to get through this before you can advance. And it does kind of force the players to get a little bit better. It should be small incremental steps, et cetera, et cetera. But you do want some of that so that when the player that they can improve, right? And so they're not running around, oh, I just light attack everything overland. Like it's kind of crazy, right? And sure, you might have people that don't want to engage with combat at all, and it's an MMO. Like, there are ways, or they want combat to be really easy, but there's ways of dealing with that, right? Like if you just want to go pick flowers, I made a build for my wife so she could go pick flowers. She didn't want to have to deal with mobs, not because she didn't want to fight them or they were difficult. They're trivial. It was just annoying, right? But let's just assume it was a player who thought they were hard or something, right? You can make a build where you don't have to deal with them. You could just run away and you're undetectable. Deirdre says sucks because the combat is very fun once you start getting the most out of it. Yeah, absolutely agree. I just can't do tab targeting anymore. And I know ESO's tab targeting versus action targeting is actually incredibly well designed. Whoever did that portion did an incredibly good job because you can tab target. There are reasons to, and it can help you in certain situations, but most of the time you have to point at the thing. And it's pretty generous, right? Most of the mobs have giant hitboxes, what have you, but it works incredibly well. And I just can't, that's why I can't do many of these other games. Like I just can't do any game that tab targeting is the core thing, honestly. It's just like, what is this, 2004? Like I can't do it, What up, Lenny Fox? What's up? I don't play anymore, but you're a legend. Hey, I appreciate it, Lenny. Well, I do here and there, but yeah, hey, I get it. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Um, yeah, so this is again, I'm hopeful for this, guys. I really am. So very, very toned down, but I am hopeful. I've said this before, but ESO is nothing without you, our players, and we truly believe that by building this game with you, we can make the next decade of Elder Scrolls the best one yet. Okay. I think he probably generally means this, but it just sounds like nonsense fluff, and I've been hurt before, so I don't really pay too much attention to it. We know actions speak louder than words. Hey, and we will be addressing a lot of this in more concrete detail on January 7th during our 2026 reveal live stream. So stay tuned. I mean, sounds good. Maybe we'll have to watch it, Tab target for taunting enemies behind other enemies. Yeah, exactly. Like you want it for some things because enemies can be stacked on. You want to aim for a particular one, but it's even cool too. One of the things I teach new players, which again the game doesn't ever teach us, especially for tanks, is that like, tab the enemy. If you're about to pull 3 or 4 enemies and you got to taunt all of them as a tank, tab the one is going to be really hard to taunt, or really that's also really important to taunt, and then point at the one that's far away, and it won't old school tab targeting, if you were pointed this way but you're tabbed on that guy, I mean, you could be pointed 180 degrees around. You could be shooting at the guy behind you while you're running that way if you were tabbed onto him. ESO, if you're pointing at a different guy and he's far away from your tab target, you'll hit the one you're pointing at. And which is awesome because it allows you to taunt this one, and then you turn and there's like multiple enemies and they're kind of in the way of each other. But if you're pointing at the thing you're tabbed at, that's what you'll hit. It works incredibly well. Honestly, it is quite good. But again, the game doesn't really teach you those things at all. There's nothing about, and there could be really fun things that the game could teach you and it could have with that would show people, what to do. But that's another thing too, like, the whole endless archive thing. And I'm glad that some people like the endless archive. I don't know how popular it is. I don't know how many people play. I know they've tried a bunch of stuff to get people to play, and I imagine it does okay. But the endless archive, Rich had said he always wanted to make a roguelike since he was like in college or something, or he liked them in college, I guess, or something. Maybe he didn't say he wanted to make it, but he liked them. And so that's why he did that. And so again, you see all these, he was the creative director, right? He's still there. He's not the creative director anymore, but he's still there. All of that tells you that he was doing stuff because he wanted to, which you need some of that in a game, but it also doesn't make any sense, Yay, running water. What's up, Robert? What's going on, man? Is there noise in the background? There's no running water. I don't know what it is, but we know actions speak louder than words, and we'll be addressing a lot of this in more concrete detail on January 7th. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm looking forward. Maybe we'll stream this. I don't know. We'll see. I tend not to do that because sometimes these have been just like corporate BS things, and so we'll have to see. Maybe I won't. Lenny Fox says, hey, try out Soulframe. It's kind of based. It's meant until you figure it out. Yeah, I've actually played some Soulframe. I don't know what the current state of it is, but I played some of it early on. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I plan on playing it more. I don't know. Is it out yet? Is it like done? Probably not. Or in an early access still, but more of a release thing. I've played some though, and I did like it. Woke up to frozen pipes. Just hyped that I got it back, dude. Oh no, frozen pipes are the worst. I'm sorry, man. Oh yeah, okay. Become a founder. Yeah, so it's still early access. My main concern with Soulframe. Sorry, we'll get back on topic here, guys. But just to say this real quick, my biggest concern with it is one of the things I don't like about Soulframe is the very instance. Like you go to a place and you do a thing and then you leave that and your ship is your base. I don't really love it. Preludes 12 has like 30 bosses in a hard mode that if you die, it resets with new ruins and stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah, man, we'll put it on the short list to try some more. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So executive producer Susan Kath. So one of the things that's different is that we're gonna get notes from like 3 people. They're very short. I'm fine with it. It's not a bunch of long corporate BS thing. We talked a lot about 2025 as a transition year, and a great deal of that was going on behind the scenes over the last 12 months. Nobody cares. We don't care as players, and I don't know why they insist on saying stuff like this. We just don't care. We don't care. It's a hard lesson to learn, but whatever. We just care what you do. We care about the game. A game as massive as ESO doesn't turn on a dime. Again, I don't care. Executive producer guys, producers usually in the gaming industry are the ones that are actually, they're like operations people would be another way of saying it. They're the people that are going to like, okay, we have an idea or whatever, but like we got to actually do it. And you got people that are actually doing this stuff. Usually the producers are the people that are making sure all of that goes together and works in a way, kind of like, I don't know, imagine you're designing a car, you're making a new car. You got people that are designing the exterior to make it look cool or look sexy or whatever you want it to look like. You got people that are designing the engine, the engineers that are making sure it's going to perform the way you want it to perform, if it's a sports car, if it's a SUV, whatever. And there's all these different people. You got people designing the interior and stuff like that. And the producer in this case would be the person who's like making sure all that is happening at a reasonable rate so you can make a fully finished vehicle and send it out the door. That's what this person would typically do. Okay. Um, how much has Ewok missed? Just came in for the snow. Ewok, you missed a decent amount, man. But you're good. You're good. We're reading through the yeah. And for anybody else who's popping in, I'm sure you're not alone. We're just reading through the letters. We instead of getting one studio director, nope, we got three smaller ones. Anyways, a game as massive as ESO doesn't turn on a dime. Over the last year, we've had leadership changes throughout the studio. That's great news. Retooling the team and our development process and built out the new season structure and content while planning out the next 5 years of ESO. I will say the new season structure, um, this is intended to take more money from you and to like ESO already has a lot of problems with gameplay that is not designed to be fun. It's designed to extract value out of you as a customer and me. And I am not excited about this. They're not doing this because it's a good thing for the players. They're doing it because they think they can get more money out of us. Um, so we'll have to see. And content while planning out the next 5 years of ESO. Cool. Again, I can't emphasize enough. I know this might be a big part of her job, but I can't emphasize enough how much we as players just don't care. Just don't give a shit. Like, this is like going to a restaurant and the chef like telling you like, oh, I gotta, listen, we got a whole half a cow. I gotta cut that thing down. We gotta make it into steaks, and then we'll probably use some of it for hamburger. We're gonna do this and that with it and whatever. And they're telling you like you care, and you're like, I mean, maybe if it's interesting enough, I guess. But I really just want the thing I ordered. I don't give a shit what you're doing back there. Don't tell me about your day. That's your job. So like I get that it's her job, but we don't care. So after 8 years of yearly chapter releases, that means rethinking nearly everything from the ground up. We're no strangers to hard work. What's funny about this is that, again, based on things that people who have left the company have said, while there are some people that work very hard, I know that, there are also ouches, I'll rewatch it later. Hey, yeah. You didn't miss too much, man. And you skipped through the first part. Um, you know, they've said that it's really hard to get fired from ZOS, the company, more largely. And I think we've seen that. There's been people that have had lawsuits filed against them and still didn't get fired. They got moved positions and changed positions and kind of demoted and, quietly moved to a lower position, but they didn't get fired. And so it's weird to say like we're no stranger to hard work, because by all reports there are people at the company that are just collecting a paycheck. They're half retired on the job. They do so. Anyways, we're no strangers to hard work, and it has been. And the problem with that is that people that want to work hard don't want to work with people that don't work hard. And so if you're a hard worker and other people that you're working with aren't hard workers, it's frustrating. And usually what you end up doing is you go to a different, you leave and you go somewhere else. And so you bleed talent. That's one of the many ways you can bleed talent at a company. See you later, Rizzle. ESO is still great as a questing game, and the combat is top notch. It's just, I also played so much. Totally, I get it, Lenny. We'll catch you later. I'm playing a lot of other games too, so maybe we'll catch you around with some of those. And keep an eye out. I'll also put up some Soulframe content too. A content season worth of notes. Maybe. So anyways, we're no strangers to hard work. It has been roll the sleeves up and get our hands dirty levels of work. But the team is excited. We're all excited to move into this next era. With people leaving and actually change, I imagine there's some people at the company that probably really love the game, and they're probably trying really hard to make it. And what happens over time is, like, especially when you have people that have been in a company, they don't want to change anything. They think what they're doing is great, and it can be really frustrating as an employee. I just as like another anecdotal story, like I can remember a friend of a friend, a vague family member, okay, that went to work at a new company, and they were fresh out of school, and they just came and did their job, right? But they noticed a lot of things, and they're like, hey, we could do this better, we could do this better. And what they found was it was so people were so opposed to change that even though it was like better, more efficient, et cetera, they just didn't want to change. Like this is the way we've always done it. Who's this new person coming in here? Also, like, you got a lot of energy, and it's like, dude, we're just trying to collect a paycheck. And so, if they got out of the way, the people that were, no, we always do it this way. We've tried other things, they didn't work. A lot of times, and I could certainly see this being the case with the old leadership, is that like people try things, but they implement it so poorly that it doesn't work, or they blame the idea, not the implementation. And so then they think, oh no, we tried a bunch of things, none of that stuff works. We just do this thing. And it's like, well, you're just incompetent, and that's why those other things didn't work. So, I mean, this is good news. This is not bad news. That's all I want to keep that in mind. So what are we focusing on next? Well, that's the 2026 reveal live stream on January 7 is all about, and we can't wait to put it in front of you and hear your thoughts. We have a lot capitalized to cover in this stream, and we'll also follow up with additional blog posts, streams, and AMAs going deeper into all the big details. Steven, I don't know if you're still here, but maybe there we go. Maybe we can get some questions, ask the real questions. We'll also share more details in the following months on the topics we're only able to cover briefly in the show, such as the introduction of optional overland difficulty modes that offer greater challenges and rewards. Hey, this is something that Rich was like so opposed to for so long, and now that he's not in charge, they're doing it. They said they were doing it last year, but like, I wonder if they were still transitioning. I don't know. But yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. Rich and Finn both were so opposed to this for so long. So it's great to hear. The live stream's main topics will be seasons, the new approach to ESO releases that replaces Content Pass. Okay. Some of the new content we'll be introducing over the first few seasons, quality of life improvements, class and combat changes, PvP additions, and in-game event changes. And very importantly, how we're going to approach all of this so that we can surprise and delight you with new additions while working to better incorporate your thoughts and feedbacks as we tackle reworks and improvements to our core features. This all sounds good. Like, also, the performance of the game sucks right now. And if they don't address that, I don't think any of this matters. So hopefully that's on the table. We'll go into much greater detail in the 2026 reveal live stream. So just watch. So I'll just wrap up my part of this letter by asking you to join us. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. This a little bit feels like we're trying to hype this January 7th thing, and they're going to do a big marketing thing. I've seen this before with ESO, where they try to. Again, I hope, and I think there's reason to believe this will be different, but they've done this before, and it didn't turn out great. Where they just like, oh yeah, they're just trying to hype it up, and then we're really disappointed. They don't want to give specifics because they know it'll be disappointing for us. It sounds like they're going to try to do something different here. Okay. As we hope you have already started to see, so this is from the studio head, Joe Burba. So as we hope you've already started to see, communication with you is one of the first things about ESO that is changing. I mean, this is great. I wish my concern is that not enough people have left or been fired. Anyways, and those changes don't stop after January 7th. In 2026, the communication from us will be focused on the overall plan. It will get into more practical information about what we will be testing and when, what kinds of feedback we are looking for to help us iterate. Yeah, I mean, I hope some people give them some good feedback. I'm over it. They're gonna have to do a lot to convince me to bother giving them feedback again. And what is changing based on that feedback? If you're reading this letter, chances are the things that truly excite you are learning the details of what we're doing and then testing them out so you can help us deliver fun things to the community. Yeah, they have treated the people, those of us who do test things out and give them feedback, so poorly over the years that like most people don't even get on the PTS anymore. And most of the people have quit, but even the people that still play or that like even before when they were still playing, they stopped. I mean, Daedric, are you I know you're one of those people, man. Have you not like cut down on your PTSing over the years? Anybody else who used to go on the PTS? They made they made going on the PTS so much harder too. Like they changed a core thing, so now you can't just recraft stuff with it. Like all your equipment is unlocked, so you can't just recraft stuff with gems. And so now it's like it's such a pain in the ass. I was already working for free for them, and they made it so much harder to do the free work that I was just like, yeah, it's not worth it. When has Zoss ever listened to feedback? Yeah, what the? Yeah, yeah. Well, again, these are different people in charge, so that's why I think there's reason to think that like maybe they will. I am cautious, very cautiously hopeful, not optimistic, but yeah, valid point, Azar, like 100%. The existence of template characters and boxes on PTS is proof there is no good. Yeah, those boxes are just the dumbest thing ever. And yeah, and that they did away with, like, now you have to open the fucking boxes. It just takes like 30 minutes or longer to set up a character. And then halfway through the testing, they delete those characters and they move it over to like, it's just, yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you. And then testing them out, like, cause when it's a North NA, when it's NA characters that are ported in, I can at least use my characters that are maxed out and have everything unlocked for the most part. Testing out new sets, you still got to do the box of boxes thing. Anyways, it's a lot of time, and I just don't do it anymore because they're not paying me, and they would have to pay me a lot of money to do it. Anyways, um, we may try some crazy things, and we may not always get it 100% right, but we will always want to uh, but what we always want to get right is that you feel heard and that our actions prove it. Again, they're saying like they're going to turn over. The thing is, if they don't do this, like if they don't do it, I'm going to be calling them out. We'll see. We'll see. We appreciate your support every year, but especially so this year with all the changes in 2025 and the bumps that resulted. We found that focusing on the ESO hashtag ESO fam, this is so much bullshit and like corporate BS. The reason they do ESO fam and then they act like, oh, we're really a fam, like Gina used to say this and then she would treat people horribly, is that like if hashtag ESO guys is not there's so many hashtag ESOs that it didn't distinguish it. So they threw on the fam there so they would have a hashtag that would be distinguish itself from the other ESOs that were not related to the game. That's all that is. And then Gina would be like, "We really mean it," and it's like, dude, just get out of here. Quit. Don't lie to me. We found that focus on the hashtag ESO fam motivated us and reminded us why we were all here to make and play great games with our friends. Yeah, whatever. Okay. This is just feels like corporate BS to me. That's why I'm like, whatever, you know. Because I want to play great games with my friends, but it might not be always be ESO, and recently it's been a lot of other games, Hey, what's up, Frog? Frog says, I came in and immediately heard corporate BS. Yeah, that checks out. Yeah. Most of it hasn't been, though, Frog. It's actually been a little bit refreshing. Have a great end of the year, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we'll see you we'll see you on the 7th. They really want us to tune in on the 7th, January 7th. That's what most of this is saying, which again alarms me because it makes me think that like when they've done this before, because they've done this before, it's all like we got something great coming, and then they don't really give us details. They just keep alluding to things. They don't tell us what the system is, and the reason is because they know a lot of us are going to be disappointed. But there's also reason to believe that maybe they'll do something different this year. So, let's be cautiously optimistic. Yeah, that's good to hear. I haven't read it yet. Yeah, it's actually like it's very short. It's like a tiny fraction of what this is last year's. Like smaller font and it's like pages and pages. Yeah. And this is detailed, but also like a lot of like just to go over from last year, guys. Just to I won't read the whole thing, but just to read a little bit of this. Let me see. I'll just read like the first part probably because that's all it'll like the first paragraph. Maybe the shorter second paragraph. Okay. Yeah. First, a few notes about 2024. I probably say this every year, but 2024's ESO content was among my favorite. I love the vibe and story of Golden Road, and now the home tours is allowing me to see so many other people's homes. I'm seriously considering making Maryvine Estate my main house, although it will take a lot to unseat me from the Mournhold Keep. 2024 2024 showed me that we are still creating wonderful content for all our players. We ended the year with two new companions. I am currently adventuring with Zaradvar, uh, although I'm early to my journey with him, as well as some fun tweaks to Battlegrounds and much more. I look I look back on 2024's content and updates, and I'm very satisfied with our story content and system updates. This is the kind of BS that we're used to because, like, he's just all he's trying to do here, and it's fucking clear as day. It's really transparent. Let me just tell you about all the things we did this year. Like, do I believe that any of this is true? No. Maybe vaguely, but like we know that they don't play their game and that they don't really know what's going on with it. Like, oh, I'm early in my adventures. In other words, I barely have it unlocked. Like, I don't know. It's just this is just nonsense. Like we know it. It's clearly transparent, but this is what he does, and it's usually like a self-licking popsicle. Like it just. Anyways, I'll read a little bit more just because I think he'll bring it home really with this next one. It was wonderful to spend time with fans in person in April at our Amsterdam 10-year anniversary event. This 10-year anniversary event pissed so many people off because people wanted to go to it and want to go to their various events, and they wouldn't tell anybody, and they wouldn't really invite anybody. They acted like anybody was invited, but they weren't. It really was just a PR thing and a thing to them all get a paid fucking vacation to Amsterdam. Literally, that's what it was for. And it's just wild because why did they do something here? And then when they did something in Las Vegas, I had friends who wanted to go to that stuff, been playing ESO for, a decade. And they're like, yeah, they're like ready to take off work and whatever. No information about it, no way of finding out, et cetera, et cetera. And they could like, how can I take off work if I don't know what it is? And it's because they didn't really want people going. And then few people that did go got a chance to talk to some of the developers, and they told me about how horrible their experiences were with them. I won't say details, but it wasn't great. And it was people that were involved in the game that were basically like trying to talk to them about the game and being like blown off. Okay, because they didn't fucking matter because they weren't influencers, right? Because that's the only thing they really cared about. And also, like they acted like people were stupid. They don't know anything about the game, and I'm so smart. And even though I've done all these dumb things, I'm the one who knows everything about the game. So, anyways, I'm getting excited. I said I was going to keep it positive. Anyways, and for our team members, sadly, I could not make it to attend the Germany ESO Tavern in July. We had many other smaller regional community events. Again, this is the BS here because I know a lot of people wanted to go to these supposed, smaller community events, and it was. Perhaps it's just gross incompetence. I mean, it's ESO, so maybe, but like a lot of people wanted to go to this stuff and couldn't because they didn't give out any information. And that seemed by design. It really seemed like they wanted to be like, oh, look at this celebration, when they showed like, oh, look at the people that are here to celebrate this with us. You look out and like, it's almost 100% employees that are brought there or influencers that they brought and paid for them to go so that they could promote the game. And very few actual people that were like excited about the game. So anyways, some for the first time in their territories, sprinkled throughout the year, where fans of the game got to meet one another. See, this is the kind of corporate BS we're used to, and I just want to say that like even though there's a lot more stuff in this, I'm just so glad that this wasn't corporate BS. And I want to give people, the new people in charge want to give him a new chance to, check it out. Hazard says it was so annoying how they really only invited influencers. They actually they actually hated or whatever. Yeah, yeah. They invited people they hated. They Nefis complained or whatever. That was how Nefis was treated was wrong. How Nefis acted. I've seen him treat people far worse in trials that I've been in. Okay, so it's like also like kind of weird, but like 100% he was treated like a jerk by Gina. You know, him being like, "Oh, my feelings are hurt," is like a little bit like, dude, I've seen you make people like you've been so mean to people that they quit and left mid trial, like, and you've posted videos about that happening, like, so like now your feelings are hurt, like, like okay, there's a little bit of a double standard there, but he was treated like crap, and they did tell him one thing, and then we're like, no, you can't record this, so like, yeah. Yeah, yeah. But like also that's another thing. Is like Gina used to be the primary like contact for all that stuff. And she was pretty terrible. Anyways, which is like wild. Like why was that the case, right? Like why is your communication person like known for being horribly mean and really bad at their job and complaining that they have to do their job too in public to like random people on the internet? Never knew him that well. Landed in a random vet depths of Malatar with him on stream one time. He seemed fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been streaming and been in groups where he's been so mean to people that they quit, and I think it's pretty well known. But doesn't mean he's a horrible person. I hope he learned. I'm not trying to rake him through the coals. It's just in those videos he was kind of like, "Woe is me, I'm a victim," and it's like, nah. Yeah, yeah. Let me know. He yelled at me when I was in Sempway. It was something else. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Project Vitality. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, yeah. That's what, which was supposed to be helping new people get into stuff, but he was acting like that. I mean, it's the same way with like 81 Puppies, right? Like his videos on Zoss, he's glowing them up. I want to say something harsher, but his streams, he's horrible to people. And then he's like talking about Zoss, and he's like, yikes, I meant raid leads like that before. Yeah, yeah. And like listen, your prog and stuff, like I've acted like an ass. Like it happens. But it's weird when it happens like all the time. It happens so often, and it's like, and you're streaming too, and it's like this is when you in theory would be on your best behavior, and this is the way you're acting, but it's whatever. It's whatever. I also like, again, I've done, I've crashed out in a raid. I've been frustrated with people too. I don't want to like rake anybody over the coals for, anything they do. Yeah. 81 is for real abrasive as heck. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, so just like the vid, like, oh, I'm a victim, but it's just weird how they, kiss up and kick down kind of thing. But anyways, well guys, yeah, actually, now I kind of don't want to because of, but someone did send me, he said he's quitting raiding, the other day, and someone sent me his video. I don't know how old that is. Let me look. Yeah, it was this month. It was less than 2 weeks ago. I don't know. Do you guys, I think we're done here. I don't know if we want to check it out. I'm not sure. But I think they had like some feedback, and what worries me about that, the reason I want to like maybe look at it, is because I'm afraid, because again, the history of ESO is, and again, the company culture has been priding themselves on, if people are really nice to us, we'll listen, and if they don't give us feedback in a way that we like, we pride ourselves on not listening, and 81 Puppies like leaned into that so hard. Like he's done a couple of feedback videos where he's like, the developers at ZOS care more about anything that when I met him, I was just so impressed, and everybody cares so much and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, all right. And then eventually here's the feedback I have, and you're like, oh my God, it's like, you don't talk to people like this in your fucking raids. So it's just wild. It's just wild to me. And so like, I don't know, but I'm afraid they're going to listen to it is because it's delivered in a way that like, historically they've been like, oh, okay, we'll listen to, but yeah. I already watched it. Don't know why. I mean, it's like watching a train wreck. Is it something? Should we pull it up? Should we take a look? I kind of want to now. Hold on. Let me get this up over here. Let me get this up. I'm curious if it's it again. I'm not trying to. I want to like judge the thing on its merits. I'm not trying to hate on anybody because again, even if not in recent histories, I've made more mistakes in my life than I can count, and some of these people are a lot younger than me, and I hope that you know they will you know realize that you know just tack better, and it's a continual thing, right? Like I hope that for myself and what have you. I'm not trying to. So it would really would. I want it to be about the content of what they have to say, not about like hating on any one particular person. I just again I felt like sorry I got to do like two-step verification here, guys. It was just a thing that it was like it's important. It was relevant, so I just wanted to point out some of that stuff and the double standard and the doing some things that a little bit cringe. Daedric, is this something we should watch, man? I mean, everyone rating an ESO has made the same mistake. Yeah. Mistakes? Nah, no bear poking around these parts. Azur says, if I recall, he basically said the game is in a bad spot and he's moving on to greener pastures. Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe it's not even worth it. Then maybe that's all there is. I can't seem to log into YouTube anyways on this other account. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I don't know. I'm hopeful. I think most of us are in a spot. I know there's some people that are new and what have you. But I think most of us are in a spot that like it just is what it is, right? I don't know. He had good criticism, but it's 88 puppies. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Maybe I didn't, like someone sent it to me and I watched like part of it. But I couldn't handle watching more of it, at the time. I should have revisited, but, yeah, I like with all my criticisms about like some of the ones, Frog agrees. Yeah. With all my criticisms, and like saying that like, hey, there's no way this will work. Right. As far as what they plan for the future, um, some of the stuff that like, oh, we're gonna do this, and it's like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. I don't, I don't, or rather, maybe I'll phrase that in a positive way. I do believe that they're gonna do some stuff that's gonna be cool, and that I'm gonna enjoy, and I'm gonna think is good. Is it what the game needs? Is it enough? Is it gonna have satisfy all the other players? So on and so forth. Um, Maybe. I hope. I doubt. Maybe. I actually I say that. I think because us as players, like a big part of it, and it's the same reason people told me like 2 or 3 years ago when they were thinking about quitting ESO, and they're like, "What am I going to go play?" I don't, for whatever reason, they didn't like, tab targeting maybe, or the art style or the in flavor of Final Fantasy 14, right? It's very anime-ish. It's very tab targeting. If you don't like those things, it's a non-starter for you. So like, I don't like that. I'm not going to go play that. What else are you going to go play? Guild Wars. Guild Wars have like, I have friends that love it, but for me, it's a little hard with the artwork as and the pixelated and what have you. The tab targeting system is also really didn't like it. I know you can do the action cam, but I didn't think it was that great. Whatever. All right. Like some things, it'll work for some people, it won't work for others. I think, so many of us are like, well, what are you going to do? And so, okay, well, maybe they'll keep, until something much better comes along, we keep playing, and hopefully they improve it and make it better. Frog says that's the problem I have. The combat system is unique. Most games are stuck on a 20-year-old cooldown skill design. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I want fast action combat. It's actually one of the things. Daedric says Lost Ark's combat is so good it carries the absolute poop that is Korean MMO gameplay loops. Yeah. I mean, and that's I tried. Daedric tried to get me into Lost Ark, and the first time I tried, I couldn't get past the monetization on like the homepage. Like it wanted, I could skip some stuff if I spent 1,900 of the who's a what's it's whatever their in-game currency is, and then their in-game currency was like you could buy 1,800 or you could buy 40, but you couldn't buy the 19. And it's like, all right, this is clearly designed, so you gotta spend way more. It's like, okay, this is predatory monetization. I want nothing to do with this. And so I bailed on it. I tried to go back to it, and I lasted a little bit longer, like months and months. Actually, it might have been 6 months or more later. And that's how I lasted a tiny bit longer, but not much. It's hard because a lot of new MMO projects are getting canceled. Yeah, a lot of the people managing those projects don't understand what people want in an MMO, so it's not surprising. Yeah, it'd be surprising. Yeah, yeah, yeah. As are, yeah, 100%. I mean, there are still quite a few out there, though I will say, again, it might not be the right one for everybody. As was mentioned by Lenny Fox, one of them is Soulframe. Um, I've told you guys before. I don't I don't think the video. I think the video did very poorly. So maybe you haven't seen. So maybe I didn't tell you before, but I tried to. When you're looking at a game, you want to look at like what the company is. Have they made other games like this? What are their other games? What are they like? Right, the history of the company. Right, and then you want to say, okay, has anything changed significantly that would change this? And then what is the style of game they're going to make? Soulframe, Warframe, a lot of people really like. I've played it. I thought it was cool. I have specific problems with Soulframe that didn't draw me in as much as it maybe could have. But I liked a lot of the ideas. The gameplay, just like getting into it, like the first hour I was playing, I was like, this feels great. It feels amazing. It was really fun. I loved it. But there were some other issues. Honestly, I should go back and play it some. But so, anyways, those are some issues. But a lot that I really liked. And it was some other kind of intrinsic that were really the scope that they were trying to make the game and the engine they were using. There were some technical limitations that made it where I didn't like stuff as much. Anyways, but the company, a lot of people really have great things to say about the developers. They are very transparent. They do a lot of live streams, a lot of things that all the stuff that I just talked about for the makers of Warframe is good. And so them making Soulframe, it's a little bit different. There are some things that are different, but there's a lot of things that are the same. It's a different style of game, and I have played it and I thought it was really fun. And I'm really hopeful. So this is an example. I want to talk more about a couple of other games in the near future here. One of them being Ashes of Creation. I think I'll probably make a video on it, kind of say my thoughts, because I was really positive about it. They have done some things that are like huge, huge red flags for me, and so I'll probably talk about that. I do think that for Ashes, like it's weird because there are a lot of game mechanics and there are a lot of skill design and a lot of ideas for the game that are really good ideas. And some of the skill design and the combat is really well designed. The problem is it's an unknown studio. The guy who runs it made his money in multi-level marketing, which are basically legal pyramid schemes. That's a huge red flag. And they've done some questionable monetization stuff to get the game popular and whatever. I try to give people a big pass on that because I know it is hard to make a game, but there's just some big red flags. I have mixed feelings about it. There's also a huge dearth of content for it. And one of the biggest things, it seems like Steven, the creative director, and the guy who is in charge of the whole thing, he's the owner of the company. There's been some things they've selectively. He's done some shady shit. Is basically but he came from multi-level marketing, so like that's to be expected, right? And then he also seems like he wants a game that is just it's a time waste simulator. I said that whenever I reviewed it early on, and I think that's still the case. And I thought they would make some reasonable changes, but it is becoming more and more apparent, at least to me, that he sees a lot of the things that I consider a bug as a feature with that, and then like, oh no, we want players to grind out like hours and hours of their fucking life, and I am not about that. I don't think there's anything cool or bragging rights about grinding out, doing things that aren't fun in a game to then get to the fun part. And that's always there's always a give and take there. Like I do want people that spend a lot of time in the game to get the cool rewards and stuff. But so much about that game has just been not respecting of my time. And I don't think that there is a world where they get from where they're at now to a place that I like um, before before launch. I don't think that's possible that'll happen. And I think that what they're doing now, so before too, when they were selling keys to the game, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I'm gonna come back to these other games too, guys. What they were doing before was it was a Kickstarter, right? Basically, or whatever. It was like, when I paid whatever I paid, I knew that a game may never come out of it, and that's fine. Okay. Like if you got and I even when I was like making minimum wage, guys, because I like games so much, I like I would still like buy games even if I wasn't necessarily going to play them. Okay, because or I knew I wasn't going to play that much because I wanted to support the idea of the game they were trying to make. Okay, because I just always cared that much about games. I didn't do it a lot. I didn't spend a bunch of money, but I did it some. I would like, oh, should I buy this or not? And like, honestly, even if I don't play it or I don't like it, I like the idea. I like what these guys are doing. I want to support them. Okay. When I paid money for Ashes, I did so on their website. I had to go to their website and do everything there. And it was a stupid amount of money. And I still feel bad about it, even though it was partially a business decision, partially whatever. And I was like, maybe they'll make something cool. I want the next new MMO and I want it fucking bad. So I was willing to pay for it. Okay. Them putting it on Steam for $50 early access, Steven said that they were only going to do a subscription model and the game wasn't going to have an upfront cost. That's a fucking lie, right? Because like now it's being sold on Steam where most people can go play it, and it's clear that like something has changed and they've and I don't think they've been transparent about if they had a huge financial issue, which I imagine that's part of what's happened, or maybe he's been shady the whole time. Probably the latter. I don't know. Probably I'm just a fool, but whatever. This is different. This is new information, and it has changed my feelings on the game a lot. And so I just got a bunch of huge red flags. A bunch of people went and played the game. They had a terrible experience, just like I did when I checked it out. The world is mostly empty. There's almost nothing to do. You just got to go kill mobs over and over again. And there's supposedly the promise that, eventually they're going to make a game or whatever. And it's like, well, if that's the case, then why are you selling a full game? And they're selling this in certain markets that are with regional pricing. So some people are getting the game for a very low price. Also, guys, they're doing regional pricing. So if you want to check it out, pick a region that they're selling it for a lower price in and go get it for cheap. And, but why are they doing that? either they're strapped for cash or they were lying the whole time or something else that I can't explain, but none of those are good answers and none of those are good signs. So, it still could be great. There still could be great mechanics. The other thing is like the visuals, the visuals, the game looks like shit right now. Like you go into some of these areas and like there's the low poly and whatever. I was going to stream it to talk about it and show you guys, but I couldn't even get logged in because the servers were crowded, and they have these pretty pictures and everything. You guys, the other thing is I'm going on a rant about Ashes. I'm going to keep going. I'll stop soon. They also said they told me I needed a new graphics card to play this game because that's how it was going to be so intense and it was going to be great and whatever. And so I went out and bought a new fucking graphics card earlier than I would have. And in addition to paying whatever I paid for the game, which is, again, saying this out loud, I just feel like an idiot, right? And then I log into the game and there's it's so low poly and they've reduced the graphics for performance and also because a lot of the stuff just isn't even finished. And it's like, why are you selling this unfinished product? It just reminds me of Store Citizen, Azur says, I'm surprised they didn't implement NFTs. I can't disagree. Daedric says, if my game isn't a 1,000-hour skimmer box, then it's not a true experience. Skinner box, yeah. Frog says, it's sad. They had a lot of potential early on. I read they even had some of the netcode devs from PlanetSide 2 who were really good in the mid 2010s. Yeah, and there's still parts about it like Steven does like they do have a really complete idea about what the game should be and how it should look like. Um, and so like it could eventually turn into something good. There is some good ideas there. I mean, when they showed the rabbits and the idea behind like how you can, have different kinds of animals and crossbreed them, sounds really freaking cool, right? But I just don't know if they're going to actually be able to deliver on any of that stuff in a way that's cool. Also, I spent about fucking 12 hours of my life looking for that damn rabbit, and it's not in the game. And so much of the other stuff they showed in the live streams is not in the game. And it's like, why are you selling it and also not putting as much as you can into the game right now if that's what you're selling to people? A lot of questions, a lot of really good. The other thing is the core concept. Frog can keep laughing. I know the core PVX idea of the game. Dune Awakening has done that so well, and I love what they've done. They made some mistakes. They did some stupid stuff early on, but the way they're implementing it now, I can play with my friends who don't want anything to do with PvP. And I think the best part about Dune Awakening is the PvP. And we can all play together and we can all enjoy ourselves. The only problem, keep going, it's great. Yeah. The only problem with Dune Awakening, because I want to talk about some other games. The only problem with Dune Awakening is that like they're not producing enough content. I'm keeping my base up kind of, and other people are playing a lot more than I am, but I'm not playing a lot because there's just no content. I've gone through it. They're going to get a new update very soon in the next like month. I can't remember the exact date. I need to go check on that too. But Ashes of Creation and Dune Awakening, I want to catch up people on like what my thoughts are on them. Dune Awakening, I hope they can keep the lights on and can keep producing content, and maybe in a couple of years, it could be in a great spot. And it could be a game with a 20-year lifespan. I mean, honestly, they're doing so many things right and so many things that I personally love. I know not everybody does. Like I know Daedric played it here, but didn't stick with it. Didn't play very much. So we'll just have to see. But there's so much more going for Dune. Dune, I'm really positive on. Everything else, like whatever. Going into work, great stream though. Don't forget to like the video. Hey, thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for dropping in. So, yeah, as another game, Dune Awakening, guys, I still think it's great. If you like, let's actually look, or I don't know if I can, I thought I couldn't usually see the prices of stuff I already owned, but maybe. Yeah, it's on sale now, 32 and some change from $50, I think. Guys, there's a couple hundred hours of not necessarily single player. Like a lot of us do it single player. You could do it with somebody else, or like you could partner up with, your friend or a partner, or come join us on the Discord or whatever. Or you could do it solo. There's easily a couple of hundred hours in the game. And I think for $32, even $50, it's worth it. But at some point you're going to run out of content. And I think that's the biggest problem with it right now. But I don't think there's anything wrong with what they have. And in fact, most of it is friggin' great. Honestly, it's awesome. So, if you're looking for an MMO, I highly recommend it. There's some issues with it, but everything I've seen from the devs has been really positive. So, mostly positive. There you go. It might not be the game for you, right? Even if it's a good game and whatever, it might not be a game for you, but there's a lot of really good stuff about it, and I honestly love it. It's just I've ran out of content, and that's why I'm not playing that much. Yeah. And then a lot of people have also had the same problem. They've quit. And so then there's not a lot of people in the game to like PvP against, and that's kind of tough. But they're addressing that stuff. They're just behind the eight ball. Daedric says, I kind of want to go back to PoE 2 now that it's had a year in the oven. Daedric, I was thinking the same thing, man. I don't think that I am going to like love it, because I don't think I love those styles of game, but I enjoyed it, man. Yeah. And also there's a new Druid, and I've heard great things about the new Druid class. Frog says, I really liked my first PoE playthrough, but once I hit maps, there just wasn't enough feedback into info on deaths. Ended up switching to Grim Dawn after that. And then Frog said, this is a little bit ago, I'm quoting me, I'm going on a rant about Ashes. I'm going to keep going. Frog says, always dislike sci-fi MMOs and deserts. Sadly, Dune has 2 sins for me. That's fair. It's not going to be for everybody. Daedric says on talking about Dune Awakening, the game is fine. Fucking, the game is fine. He's raving about it, man. Calm down, Daedric. The game is fine. Deep Desert just wasn't all that alluring to me, and there wasn't much reason to play other than that. That was my impressions anyways. Yeah. And I think that very much like just like most modern games, it wasn't release finished, and they knew that, but it was released in a good enough state that it was worth the price to me. Honestly, a great value in my opinion. And one of the things they've added is boss fights now. There's actually bosses in the new update, so that's cool. I don't know how great they are. I imagine they're probably not going to quite be cooked enough. They're going to need some more time in the oven, but still, I think it's cool. They're doing something, and I think they want to try. They've indicated that they weren't like the game. Dude, I'm seeing people fly around here, guys. The flying in Dune, the movement in Dune. Oh my god, it's so good. When you start off, you're a plebe and you're like walking around like a like a plebe. That's not great. But once you get everything unlocked, which happens pretty early, okay, you got to play to the point where you get to that. And if you don't want to play to the point where you get that stuff, come by the Discord and we'll hook you up with gear so you can start off with all the stuff if you don't want to try it. But the flight, the aerial combat, the ground combat, it's amazing. It's S tier. It's so good. So good. I highly recommend it. I love this game and I would still recommend anybody go pick it up. On sale for sure, even not on sale, go grab it. But just realize you are going to run out of content. And don't be molding because, they can't develop stuff fast enough. Just realize it. And, so keep that in mind. Daedric says it's just frustrating to support these half-baked games and having to wait a year plus to see if they manage to eventually to actually fix the issues, especially with trying to get other people to play. Yeah, I'm with you. I just think that several hundred hours in the game was more than enough for me to feel like I got my value out of it. I'm with you on the half-baked games. I think this is a fully baked game that like they bake the cake and now they're gonna do a bunch of other stuff to it. That analogy's breaking down, but I think that Ashes is like quarter baked. Like yeah, it's not a game, and they're selling it as if it was a game, which is what pisses me off and what makes me go, yeah, I wouldn't recommend this. I think Dune though is enough of a fully complete game that you could play and get. Again, you're not going to get infinite playtime out of it, and I think that's just the reality we have to live in right now. I don't think that these developers can make stuff, fast enough, but for me, it has more than enough. Yeah, and also let's look. Can we just look what I have in how many hours? I've got 1100 and some change hours in this. And I would say 1,000 of that is like just me playing, not me being a content creator, I don't know if I'd call an MMO without bosses fully baked, but it's probably better than most. If you played Frog, you would maybe get it a little bit more. Yeah. I'm not, I don't know. I don't know what you want to say, fully baked, half baked, whatever the analogy is. It is, the thing is, guys, and this is something that is an unfortunate reality of our times. I know that might be frustrating to hear. I'm personally, if it's done right, I'm okay with it. But here's the reality. Games have gotten so much bigger. No, it's good. No, I appreciate the pushback. No. Yeah. Like what we want is like a game that is, I just want it to be fun, right? That's all it is. And I think for me, Dune in its current state is incredibly fun. Okay. Many of these other half-baked games are not fun. They are half of a game. They do not feel like a complete game to me. Dune to me feels like a complete game. And the it's not designed in a way that like, you're like, oh, why isn't there a boss here? It's just not. Maybe you could be like, yeah, they could do some better stuff. They could do some different things, whatever. But like getting out on a giant sandcrawler and having a team of people harvest spice and having to worry about the worm and getting people, I've gotten eaten, other people have gotten eaten by the worm, and having to worry about fighting off other players while your friends that don't want to PvP and also can't because they're driving the sand harvester are like trying to pick it up, avoid the worm, and fly back and get back to safety. Like it's just so damn fun. And running around like solo in the first couple hundred hours of the game, and getting to explore the exploration. Like I have I cannot tell you how peak it is to be like, oh, I wonder if there's something up there, and going to this cool place that I would think the devs wouldn't think I would go, and then I find a treasure chest up there that has a unique item that I want. Oh, it feels so good. I'm like, this is fucking cool. Going into some of the crash ships, um, going into some of the crash ships and the music changes and it's dark. I felt like it was in a horror game and I was on edge. I'm not into horror, guys, and I don't get on edge from scary things. I just don't. And so I don't know. I was like, this is cool. I'm like scared. And then later on in the game, being in that same situation, but knowing there could be players or there are other players there and it's dark. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. So good. When it's good, it's so good. And I think for me, the question is like, is the game, is it fun? Is it developed enough? Because we expect games to be so much bigger than they used to be, and developers make games so much bigger than they used to that like it's hard to get the money to make, because they could spend all this time and they could end up with ashes of creation, which is not fun and is not finished and whatever. These guys made a complete game. And so again, maybe it's not for everybody. Daedric has different opinions. I respect that. I mean, he's wrong, but I respect that. And so for me, that's why it's such a great game, and I like it and still recommend it, with the caveat that like, there's going to be some issues, and they made some mistakes. They made some big mistakes that that like they're having to fix now. I just think that some of that is unfortunately just the reality of how big games have gotten and how high our expectations. Again, my wife, I mentioned this before, but my wife reminded me the other day that when she was younger and in high school, college, I can't remember, early college maybe, she used to like they would get a game and like we would get games and I didn't know at the time and play through it in a weekend. Games are so much bigger than that now, right? Like you're not really playing through most games in a weekend. If you do, it's an indie game. Daedric says, hold on, Daedric says the game is fine. The deep desert just wasn't that alluring to me, and there wasn't much reason to play other than that. That was my impressions anyways. Yeah. I think there's plenty. Yeah. I would passively disagree, but it's all good. It's just frustrating to support. Oh yeah. Sorry. We already read that. I don't know if I call an MMO without, oh yeah, we already read that too. I'm sorry. I went up too far. I'm not dissing it. Have only heard good things. My frustration, this is Frog, my frustration is that incentives in our economy have eroded the quality of art rapidly. Well, yeah, and I also think that you get a lot better art out of Europe a lot of times because they have people can survive easier and in better conditions. And so, you don't get a lot of art when you're fighting for survival, and that's what we have in the US so often. Um, Daedric says, coming from other survival games. Okay, which I haven't, so he has a different perspective there. Dune has the bare bones to make it work, but to me, there was no reason to get the best tier of stuff unless you really like the PvP. Yeah, there was limited PvE content, and there still is, or there has been. Um, but I think there was still, I would disagree, having played it. I know a lot more than you, but that's your take is, I mean, Daedric's opinion too is very valid. Like, it's your opinion, right? Maybe I'm just spoiled though. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I haven't played a lot of other survival games either. Frog says, so I love exploration. It's one reason I struggle with deserts because it's rare to feel like there's any biome diversity. Well, Frog, that's also something just to like cover this that a lot of people have worried about in Dune. Like, oh, it's Dune. It's only one biome. I thought they were going to handle this by, so in the story, to spoil it for anybody, like a 50-year-old book or whatever, or more, Dune like does get terraformed in the books, and I thought we were going to have a time jump. They actually have already mentioned that they're thinking about a 10-year plan for the game and also like going to other worlds. So I think the Atreides homeworld, which is mostly water, is like the top one, or was at one point the top of the list. And so being able to go to other worlds to see other biomes is pretty cool. Daedric says Doom map design was pretty good. It was pretty diverse for sticking to desert theme. Deep Desert was though, yeah. Deep Desert could have had more to it. Again, I thought it was really fun, but it could have had more to it, and they screwed up the way things, like. And again, the next update, we'll see what they do. See, because they're supposed to be correcting a lot of that stuff. Daedric says, I gave you the best content for Dune, therefore my opinion is worth 10x yours. That's fair. That's fair, man. Can't argue with that logic. Uh, yeah, but anyways, that's a couple of games: Soulframe, Dune, and there's some others on the horizon. And not all of them are MMOs. Not everybody likes all these styles of games too. That's the other thing. Like, talking about Path of Exile, so action RPGs is another one. I want to play. I really want to play. The the guys at Owlcat Games, guys, are so great. I love that. I love that company, and they have made several games. Rogue Trader. Their next game is going to be themed on the Expanse. I love the Expanse, guys. I love the Expanse, and it's not going to be. These are computer RPGs. I play tabletop RPGs, which are just objectively better than anything you could make in a computer RPG. You just can't do what you can do playing tabletop. It's just never going to happen. So like even when they're done really well, like they're just not my jam because I have a better option. But Rogue Trader is still really cool. I like how tactical it is because again, in a computer RPG, I don't really care about the story as much because I can have that better with playing tabletops. But they make some great products. They've also done Path of the Righteous, which is done based on the Pathfinder system. A lot of people love this stuff who like computer RPGs. I barely played it, but I like these guys, and I'm when the Expanse comes out, like I'm all about it. There's also a few others that I have or have access to that I haven't played, like Jump Space. I'm interested in check. I should check that out on stream actually really soon. So I don't know. There's still more games out there. Oh my god. Play the Daedric. I never could find that clip, my dude. Yeah. I should. I would like to. Maybe I could go back and try to find it, man. But I struggled. I don't know what happened. Daedric. So what Daedric is referring to when Dune Awakening was in playtest, like a free open playtest. There, I think they were trying to stress test the servers, so they'd have a better launch, which is amazing thing for them to do. I think I clipped it. Softa says I should have it somewhere. Daedric. It might be in the Discord. Okay. Yeah. Well, also, man, maybe we can make it a clip. I'll describe it here, but maybe we could do that. Maybe I should go back and find it. We're just exploring. Never played, haven't played the game before, and we're out. And Daedric's, we're both on a bike. I think he's on the back. Maybe I was on the back. We stop and we're like at the edge of the map because that was part of the early access. We're just playing around, and in the middle of the open desert. But there are sandworms that'll eat you and kill you, and all your stuff's gone. And it's gone forever. Very scary. And Daedric kills a jerboa or a Moadip, right? They're jerboas. He kills the Moadip, the little mouse, and not 30 seconds later, I shit you not, we're driving across the desert, big open desert, huge world. A ship falls out of the sky, but it doesn't just fall out of the sky. It hits us. We're moving and the ship hits us. We clip into the ship and we're stuck out on the open desert with the sandworm aggroed because a ship just landed. You're not supposed to be able to clip into these ships. It just happened because we friggin' landed on it. And then we're like, oh my God. And a sandworm comes and eats us. Obviously, because we killed Moadip. Well, he killed Moadip and I was with him. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Softness said, my favorite moment was the Beta Thopter fight where it was Daedric and I. Okay. It's going to be good. The Expanse was originally written to be an MMO. Yeah, I'm aware because I'm an MMO. Or, not an MMO, an RPG. Not an MMO, right? Yeah. Written to be it was written as like an RPG. That's where it like comes from. Yeah, a TTRPG. Unless I got this convoluted somewhere along the way, but I think it was a TTRPG. Azer. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot of stuff out on the horizon. I picked up a bunch of games, guys, the other day. So like I want to play just because it's Dune themed. Like I want to play what is it called? Spice Wars. Yeah. So this is a 4X. I know not a lot of you guys are not into this, but 4X Spice Wars. It's been out for a long time, but I haven't checked it out. It says I played 112 minutes. I like launched it to make sure it worked or something. I haven't played it at all. I haven't loaded in for sure. Um, a Way Out. Gonna play this with. Oh, you're right. Even better. Yeah. Right. Where Winds Meet. I hear good things about this. Maybe not that it's going to be the best thing in the world, but I hear good things about it. This is a Korean. It's an Asian. Maybe it's Chinese. I don't remember. MMO that is being localized for us, and so we're a little bit behind. But a lot of people that I've been running trials with are into this, and I've recommended it. I mean, I could just go through. I mean, we need to play some more Warframe. Really, only 6 hours? That's crazy. I played those were all on stream. Que mas. Yeah, Sins of a Solar Empire. I want to play some of this. I think one of these games, maybe Sorcerer King or one of these other ones. There's been some a couple of other like 4X games that I want to try. Rusty Rabbit I got just because it's rabbit themed and I liked that. I thought it was cool. I didn't love the story as much as I thought I would, but it's all good. I'll probably play it some more. Obviously, PoE 2, Path of Exile. Hope to play it. Once Upon a Katamari. This is just like a fun, light, silly game that I used to play, and a lot of my friends played a lot more, and I thought it was great. So I just want to play that once or twice on stream so you guys can see, and because I think it's really fun. Lunar Lander Beyond. I pulled this up for some B-roll today and played some, and God, I love this game. It's so fun. I know it's an indie game, and a lot of you guys aren't into this sort of thing, but if you are, I don't know. What's it running in the store right now? Lunar Lander Beyond, $12. You gotta have a controller, but I don't know. I thought it was great. Jump Space, again, it says 24 minutes. I haven't played it at all. I want to jump in. I want to like this seems pretty cool, and I want to check on the development of it. It's still in development. There's going to be a Heroes of Might and Magic game. There's a free demo out for this right now. I have a lot of nostalgia. I picked up Gauntlet, and I got 4 friend passes, and I'm looking for some people to play with, by the way. This is by Arrowhead. It's like one of the earlier games, and I want to get some people. Oh, actually, I have a few people that have played it previously. Okay, I should hit them up. But I got it was like $5 for like 4 copies. Yeah, not doing Final Fantasy. I can't do it. Or Eve. What else? There's a handful. Claire Obscura. I need to do a playthrough of this. I hear amazing things about it. Might not be my kind of game. Black Myth Wukong. I know that's old news to a lot of people, but I haven't played it at all. I haven't even installed it. Yeah, I don't know. There's a decent number there though. 6 hours on Warframe is criminal. Should I put in some more hours, dude? I mean, I dug it. I don't know. I have a disgusting amount of time on Warframe. Okay. All right. I'll put in some more time on Warframe then. I'll put it on the list. I played some Soulframe though, Soulframe's been good. Do I have it? It has to be in here, right? Or maybe I didn't play it through Steam. Yeah, maybe that's the issue. Maybe there's some non-Steam games in here. Yeah. You didn't even get to making builds. That's where it goes crazy. I mean, the core gameplay was pretty damn fun, dude. I don't know. Well, guys, it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun chatting. I want to do some more streams like this. The next like week or two. Because we're doing tabletop stuff, so I know that might not be all of you guys' jams, but I did that review of Car Wars, which all of like 50 people saw. Not a lot of people. It's all good. Didn't do incredibly well, but I actually know one of the developers of that game, and it's made by Steve Jackson Games. They make amazing games, generally speaking, and he's going to come on and we're going to chat about game design, and we're going to talk about his game, and I think maybe in the future he also I think it's going to be on like a Friday, And we might start doing a little bit more talky streams on Friday, just kind of talking about various games, game news, what's going on, and stuff like this. But just other games and stuff like that. So I'm trying to see. Oh, there it is. Car Wars. 32 views, killing it, killing it. Whenever you start making content on stuff you haven't made content before, YouTube treats it like you're like it's like a brand new channel, which is totally fine. And I know a lot of you guys haven't even seen it. And if you did, a lot of you wouldn't care because you're not into tabletops. But yeah, it's fun. I'll be doing a lot more stuff like that. If the core gameplay was 7 out of 10, the extra stuff makes it 11 out of 10. Are you talking about Soul Frame or Warframe? Wow, that's crazy, dude. Okay. I don't know, man. Maybe I should have a lot more hours in it, though. I just need to, I guess, give it some more time. I thought it was fun, but I wasn't, super drawn in yet. Warframe. Yeah, okay. I just wasn't, super hooked in. So, yeah, so I don't know if that's going to happen this Friday or if it'll be next or the Friday after, but it'll be happening soon, and we'll be doing more of this kind of stuff where we chat about games. I'd like to cover a little bit more news and stuff like that. So, anyways, just letting you guys know. But I need to go grab some dinner. My lovely wife has. It's a long ways off. Never mind. I'm being told it's a long ways off, actually. So maybe we're not going anywhere. I misread the signs. The super early gameplay is kind of bland. Once you start messing with the mods and try a few frames, it becomes insanely fun. Okay. You know what? A couple of people, Jawal, for those who know her, asked me if I had played, so maybe I could hit her up and see if they want to be able to play with a couple of people that are also new and kind of learn it together. Disco, what's going on? Hey, not her. I wanted to thank you and your awesome community for the amazing tips and gaming videos. I wish you an amazing 2026 with lots of good health and success. Disco, I appreciate it, man. I'm so glad that I and probably more that more importantly, the rest of the community has been able to help you out, man. Absolutely. Oh no. Oh no. That's horrible, Lyriel. I'm so sorry. Getting a migraine. Couldn't see and felt like I shouldn't be using a knife. I think that's fairly safe. I feel like I need to come help, but I think you don't want me to. Oh, man. I'll never learn. I'll never learn. Should we play some Warframe? I don't know. Should we give it a shot? I got to make a new stream. I don't need your help. Crashing around the kitchen. Oh, man. It's true. All right, guys. We're going to hop into some Warframe. We got a little bit of time. We're going to do it. I'll have to make a new stream here. For those who are just tuning in for the ESO stuff, probably you've already left. But those who are less interested in the gameplay, and we're just here for the fun chatting. I mean, we'll still be chatting, but obviously I'll be playing. Give me a sec here. We'll get this loaded up. But thank you for the offer. You're very welcome. Also, I did some Googling, and it totally doesn't matter much because the Expanse maybe started as an MMO pitch from a Polygon article. Oh, okay. So it's column A and column B. Quote, the Expanse started out as a pitch for an MMO. Ty Frank told Polygon it was right before EVE Online came out, more than 15 years ago. Cool. Cheers, man. Gonna go back and watch the letter part. Okay, we'll catch you later, Frog. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, Azur. I love the books too. The books were so good, so good. Are we loading? Why can't I play? Give me a second here, guys. I'm gonna have to get on my editing computer and find the Warframe thumbnail from ancient times. It's cold out. I went and ran. I was trying to breathe through my nose, but I was dying. My lips are all chapped. I don't know why I'm telling you guys. I have no internal monologue apparently, but random facts about me. They hurt real bad. Give me a second here. Oh, I don't know what that noise is, but it didn't sound good. Give me a second, guys. I can't see chat. See if I can't find that thumbnail from ye ancient times. I guess we'll see how long ago it was. That'll be interesting. All right, Warframe thumbnail. Where is it? There it is. April 3rd. It's been a little bit. What do you guys think about the tabletop stuff being on the same channel? Anybody got any feedback for me? Good, bad, or other? You know you can't hurt my feelings. Probably you guys don't have any thoughts, but if you do, let me know. I'm curious. All right, YouTube is being really weird right now, or this computer is being really weird. It's just spinning and then not displaying stuff properly. I'm not sure what's going on with the YouTubes right now. Perhaps it's the web browser. Let's try the old nope. Nothing seems. Hopefully, I am not. Hopefully, I'm still live because this computer is showing that it's not connected to the internet somehow. Yeah, same. Not all of them made it to the show. Look at all those friends that have played it. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. 14 of them. Yeah, yeah. Those are all tacit endorsements. Okay. I don't know if I can ever get into Warframe. I played it to death, or get back into it, I guess. D used to be a really terrible company, but they've come around. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Digic says find some psychopaths that are okay with live stream tabletop sessions, then farm content and get 10 million subs. Easy. There you go, man. There you go. Daedric's got the path. I mean, we did do. I mean, they weren't like live recorded, or like it was just audio mostly, and only me on the picture. But I did show the kobolds the other day. We played again this last Friday, but I had a migraine, and I didn't. I'd had like a migraine like the day before, and I still wasn't feeling good, and I didn't want to stream, not knowing if I was gonna not be feeling okay, and not kind of wanting all that pressure, so I just didn't, you know. Here we go. All right, we're connected to the interwebs again. Let's see if we can do this. I love how garbage Windows is now. One day I'm going to move over to Linux gaming. I just haven't done it yet. We're going to say noob continues to try Warframe. Maybe do like a hour 7. All right, cool. And then let's get that thumbnail changed around. And again, I mean, you guys probably already left, but those who are just tuning in for the ESO stuff, appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know a lot of you already left, but I appreciate it. It was fun chatting about everything. Bear with me here, guys. We're almost done. Famous last words. I get excited and I yell, and then I lose my voice. I need to stop doing this. All right. I think we're good. YouTube's thinking hard. There we go. Guys, I've been playing Twilight Imperium. For those who don't know, it's a really complex board game. And I have been playing it like once a week because all of my friends that are local to me have been into it. And it's been amazing. And we like played last week, and they're going to play again this coming week, I think. And it can take anywhere from like, you can get it down to like 2 hours, but oftentimes it takes like 4 to 6. Oh my God, it's so much fun. I can stop whenever I want, but it's been pretty great. Oh, okay, that was the problem. Windows was like not letting it do its thing. Are we good here? How are we doing? Okay, now it's loading. Cool. All right, guys, I am going to end the stream here on YouTube and kick you guys over to the new stream. And we'll play some Warframe for a little bit. Probably not super long, but as long as we can. And then we'll be calling it for the night. And then here, let me, on Twitch, let's have the wrong keyboard in front of me. Let's make sure we change that so everybody knows what we're doing. Cool. Nope, we're updating. Checking for new content. YouTube, let me go ahead and kick over to the new stream, and we'll see you over there. And if you're on Twitch,